Yeah, take your time and come up with a more rational explanation. Put the pieces together in order to come up with a more rational explanation on exactly how it went down with Mr. Kafwaya, Honorable Kafwaya. This is not a man with past police training or military training or military experience that points him towards or points us towards him being someone who was equipped with knowledge on how to engage police. Look, you expect me to believe that a man in his 40s with a wife and children, a man in his 40s with a family to take care of, engaged with police, engaged with the military, like as if he's James Bond or Rambo. You expect me to believe that this guy, who was a former lawmaker, a former minister, with no past experience in police or military service, probably doesn't even know how to use a handgun really, or has never really used one in any meaningful way. Do you honestly expect me to believe that this guy, who is just like an average person in their 40s, they're not muscular or fit, is actually plump, you know, meaning he's got some fat on him, meaning he's not really like physically fit or someone who can jump or take a dive, just like any average person in their 40s, you know? You expect me to believe that this man engaged with special forces, like Rambo, like James Bond? Come on. In my view, or what I think is, like I've already stated, he panicked and ran for cover, and you had overzealous people. I don't know how many there were. You know, I don't know if there were 50, 60, 70. There are all kinds of accounts, but there were many. And it was in the night, and something went down, but we don't know what. You cannot believe just one side of the story. Every story has three versions: A side, B side, and the truth. So the government has its own version. The people who were victims or the targets of that incident have their own version, and then there is the truth. Okay, we are searching for the truth, and just come up with a reasonable explanation. You can, you know, you can come up with a story as government, any story, and Zambians will believe that, because in the mind of the average Zambian, or in the mind of most Zambians, Boma ni Boma, and Boma cannot tell a lie, and Boma is sacred. But there are people like me who understand these things better. Sorry to put it that way. And we know that governments do tell lies, especially when someone has died in the midst of an operation. Even if it's by mistake, there has to be some covering up. So I'm not saying the government covered up, but what I am saying is the government has to give us an explanation that makes sense. Okay? An explanation that makes sense. But the government must give us the truth. Our search is a search for the truth. We cannot allow those type of situations to go without explanation. Okay? When a life has been taken, there has to be a rational explanation. There has to be a damn good reason why a life was taken. We cannot live in a country where a life is taken and then it's not a big deal, and then we get into our partisan shells, and life goes on and we live happily ever after. Maybe that's how you guys operate down there, but as far as I'm concerned, when a life is taken under questionable circumstances, we have to ask, what happened? This is very important. When a life is, you see, a lot of this depends on the premium you put on life. Okay, people put different levels of premium on life. If you put a low premium on life, it won't be a big deal to you that someone died in this operation. You know, life goes on, or you'll find some justification or rational excuse. Or maybe because of blind loyalty or partisan loyalty or regional affiliation. But I pray that there is a cross-section of Zambians who are able to transcend that, who are able to go above partisan considerations, and to genuinely ask the question, what happened? You have to learn to put a high premium on life. When a life is taken, It's not a joke. It's not a small thing. It's not a laughing matter. It's not something to play with. There has to be a rational explanation which makes sense to Zambians on what exactly happened, because we can't live in a country where someone can be assassinated and in 7 days everybody forgets about it and moves on and lives happily ever after. That's not a country anymore, and that's not a democracy anymore. And government sometimes has no ability to regulate itself. You need a strong civil society that will make it a business to question government on what exactly happened. An order was given for this type of operation, and listen, if you're in your house and you're surrounded, there's going to be panic, okay? And I just pray, I don't know what the current laws are on these type of matters, but you need a judicial warrant. Even if you're security forces going to break into someone's house, you need a judicial warrant in order to do those type of things. You can't just go into someone's house and break in, even if you're the government, because if we get into that, no one will ever be safe. No one will ever be safe. We can't live in a country where a government can just decide, go break into that person's house. You can't do that. Certainly not in a constitutional democracy. So I don't know what type of advice Attorney General is giving the government. I don't know what type of laws they're using. But to break into someone's house, even if it's special forces, it requires a judicial warrant. And in the absence of that, I don't see how citizens can be safe. But by the end of the day, it's about the premium that you place on life. Okay? When a life is taken, don't treat it casually. Don't play politics with it. Take it seriously. Now, on a separate note, if it's found that these guys